Bob, can you see me? Yep. Can you hear me? Hey Bob, can you hear me? Hear me? Hey Bob, can you hear me?
Welcome to Pyramid One World Radio Network. You can call in and talk to our hosts by dialing 60547257766, then dial the access code 60860 hash and be ready to be part of a worldwide movement to educate everyone listening to these shows. Let's begin dialing.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension.
Bob Charles.
Oh yeah, you got the Bob Charles Show.
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You just crossed over into
Bob Charles.
The secret of the technology used in the crystal skulls has still not been unraveled.
Don't forget, it's our world. Start taking care of it. It's time to think for yourself.
Bob Charles.
Open your heart to reality and to all the misinformation you hear. Just say no.
This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Hi, and welcome to the Bob Charles Show right here on Pyramid One Radio Network. Past life regression and how your past lives affect your life now. Spiritual regression. What is it? My special honored guest, Bryn Blankinship, will tell you more. Bryn Blankinship is the author of Limitless Soul. Hypno-Regression case studies into the past, present, and future lives. Bryn Blankinship, CMHt, CL, is the founder and executive director of the Braithe Center located in North Carolina. She is a certified master hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Discovering the power of hypnosis and meditation while an actress working in commercials and film at the professional level, Bren used hypnosis as a way of removing boundaries, opening new doors in her career, and self-healing. She found it to be a wonderful tool for calming the mind, relaxing the body, and freeing the instrument, allowing the character to emerge. Bren changed careers to become a hypnotherapist out of a strong desire to help others through their own transitions and healing. She found it to be rewarding and went on to become a hypnosis instructor, helping students to hone their hypnosis skills. Bren has taught internationally, and her certifications courses in the USA draw an international student base to them. May I introduce, with more information than you'll ever need in your life, my honored guest, Bryn Blankinship.
Oh, yeah.
She is here and she's smiling. I just want to tell everybody there is a telephone number. That telephone number is 605-472-5765. The access code is 608060 #. Just call in if you have any questions. Bren, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I see you got a new camera in that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Oh, absolutely. No problem. In fact, is that a laptop?
Yes.
Okay. Push the screen back about a quarter inch. No, forward a little more. Hey. No. Yes. No. Yes. See, past life regression. Oh boy, I tell you. You know, I tell you something. We've talked about this before on the show. And I'm telling you, I got more mail than you could ever believe, because so many people have no idea what it is, never heard the term. You know, if you say past life, they say, oh, you mean died and came back. No. And then you have to go into a long, explain of what it actually is. I have, oh boy, do I have questions. But the basic questions are the things that people don't understand. And we're also going to talk about your book, which I really, really want to get into a little bit. And that it's going, I don't know, maybe you're going to be on the best, I don't know, best writers, authors, book selling list anywhere. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, the book, I read some reviews on it, and some of the things in it that they had said that was in the book. And you actually have in your book people who had the experience, and they're noted in the book.
Yes.
So people who are afraid of this, read the book. I mean, the people that it actually happened to, they did it with Bren to see where they were, where they're going. I mean, let's face it, you can go into the future too. I like this, like the song, Back to the Future. That means back, past, future, forward. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're forward or backward. When you're hypnotized, you go into a state of mind that's totally different than normal. Is that correct?
Yes. So you're going into a deeper place within yourself. And it's a place that you connect to in your dreams and your quiet times, your meditations, but you're going in with a purpose. You're going in with questions to resolve an issue. And there's nothing to be afraid of, because your mind is not going to let you explore something that you're not ready for. If you're not ready for it, then it's going to stop. It's going to stop there. But this is a great way to resolve issues, to go back into a past life where you've carried over something that's keeping you stuck now or holding you back, and to understand it, resolve it, move on from it. Because we repeat patterns. If we don't clear them, we repeat the pattern until we move past it. And that pattern can be bigger than our current life. It can involve a past life or a series of past lives where we're working on the same issue.
We got a couple of things in that. As I said, we got a bunch of questions in, but one that came from England was, what kind of disorders can be treated with past life regression therapy?
So as a regressionist, we work with resolving conflict. We don't work with medical issues. We are not in that category of medical practitioner here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. However, going back and exploring an issue can change the condition around it. So if you have a lot of stress or worry, you're an anxious person, going into a past life can explain it, clear it, and help you feel more at peace internally. So it would address stress or not feeling at peace, inner conflict. It would address it that way.
So someone that, seriously, I've seen some people that they definitely, absolutely need that type of therapy. But you get these hypertension people that are just like, they bounce off the walls all the time. And it's not something that you can fix with drugs or anything. If you look at the whole family is marked. with this, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a stigma or something? I mean, whatever it is. And people have already told me that the people are people. Whatever they were, they will be. So, in other words, well, let me give you a hypothetical situation. Say, in Egypt, you were the guy that ran back and forth with the water bucket for the guys that were working on the pyramids. So, of course, it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all day. And then the next generation of your person that came up, and they were doing the same thing, but they were running back and forth now with the nails to put in the side of the ship that was going to go across the Atlantic Ocean. And it just kept going and going and going. This is just something that we carry over in our lives from past lives. So can these be stopped at one point?
Yes, and what you're speaking of sounds like ancestral past life carryover.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So there are patterns that get carried through lifetimes, through our family lineage, and you can shift those patterns. Some things can't be shifted because you're here to experience it. But other things are shifted by you going into that deeper state of the mind, addressing it, having a state of awareness about the situation, and then choosing different outcomes. So maybe then you become the person that's the leader on the pyramids, that oversees the guy that has the bucket
So
of the nails.
You're changing the past.
Yes.
You're changing your mind, though.
You're going into the past to change your future, right?
Oh, come on. That is too good.
Now, I had a client who I did a group session that we took a whole group of people back to a past life that they shared together. And there were 5 or 7, I can't remember now, family members in that group. And they went back to a lifetime where they were working on the stadium in Greece, and they were gladiators. Many of them were gladiators, except for one. And she was the slave that worked on the steps to build the stadium. She was a male. She was chained to the steps, and she spent her life chained to those steps, and then she would build another layer, and they would move her chain up so she could get a little higher, and she would just about see over the top, and then something would happen, and she would get sick, and she eventually died there, chained to the steps of that stadium. And this family pattern, that did not carry over in that way, except she was trying to get to the top and couldn't quite get there. Now, the other family members, they were fighters. They were warriors. They were in the arena doing the fighting and winning.
So they were the achievers.
If you want, well, she was achieving too. She was achieving building the arena.
Like in other words, like right now. I mean, if I wanted to, say I wanted to be, well, whatever, say be the president of a company, and I start with a company, and in my mind, I said, I am going to be the president of this company. And then I wind up being the president of the company because I was aggressive the way I did it. Now, the person that built the stairs, his job was, yes, and that too, he wanted to see over the top, but at the same time, and then he wanted to do a good job because the better job he did, the better he came up the ladder. So he didn't achieve as quickly, and when he did, he finally died, but he did get to where he wanted to go.
In current life, that person has a lot of responsibility. So they had a lot of responsibility back then. However, they weren't in control of their destiny. You know, the others that were fighting in the arena had the ability to fight for their freedom at some point. Usually, though, back then they fought until they finally died.
Nice thing to think about. Okay. But, I mean, really, seriously, I mean, we do that right now. I mean, if you think about it. Now, another question that they have was, and that particular part of it, I mean, it to me, because I've done this before, I mean, I've had an NDE before, and I've also had an out-of-body experience. Only once, but it was so real that even the people that I talk to that are psychics or more in that department, they all say the same thing. They say it's unbelievable, but very few people actually get the experience like that. I was in an experience where I could feel the sand, smell the air, the breeze you could feel, you could see for real. I mean, it wasn't like, you were somewhere looking into something. You were there. Absolutely. Yes. Now, people that go through past life regressions, they are the people there.
Yes.
Correct?
So they may see it as an observer. They may be in the scene and experience it, feel it, smell it, taste it.
Oh, yeah.
They're picking up all of the senses in the past life. Some people may have the session come to them auditorily, where it's as if it's being whispered to them. So it may be that they are in a scene and their spiritual guide is speaking to them and explaining to them what's happening. You're in a field, you're walking. It may come kinesthetically, where they would feel that they were in a field. They would feel the breeze. They would feel the ground beneath their feet. Visually, it may come where they see the trees, they see the field, and they see what's happening around. And in that state, people process different ways, and there's usually a primary sense that comes through, and then a secondary one that's there as well in that deeper state. It's very real for the person experiencing it.
Can they identify themselves?
Yes. Yes.
Can. So they know who they are.
They know if there are several people in a scene, they know which one is them. Now, sometimes it takes a minute or two to acclimate to the scene, where other people, when they go in, it's immediate. They immediately know who they are. They know what they're doing and why they're there. While some take a little longer, it's still a matter of minutes, but a little bit of time to acclimate to the scene and to figure out where they are, what's going on. And then they get great information. They'll get dates, times, places, landmarks that they've been able to trace after the session to verify. Now, the way I work, that's not the focus of my session, but I will ask to try to find out dates, times, places. But what's more important for my sessions is the interactions and improving the relationship with themselves, helping the client resolve inner conflict within themselves.
I think just from what I've learned, and that from the years I've been on the radio and listening to people talking about this, everybody should give it a shot. I mean, even me. I mean, I haven't done it because nobody was close enough. And I said to somebody, can you do it over the Skype? And they said, oh, yeah. But I don't think it works the same as you do personally.
I don't like to, because I like to have you in the room where I can see you, where there are things that I'll do to come over, touch your forehead, touch your shoulder, and it just helps deepen the session, deepen the relaxation into the experience that I can't do that over Skype. And also we have, sometimes there are distractions that come in if they're trying to do it in their own home, or if the session gets cut off, you need to have somebody on site to be able to come in the room and emerge the client. Little things like that.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. I'll be there some one of these days. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I've been there already, sort of, but not the same way. I mean, I've been told, and you must get this too from being with these people. Like, how many lives? How many lives do you go back? The most I've heard is 3.
In a session?
Yeah.
The way that I work, so I do a couple of different kinds of sessions. So I can do what's called a past life regression, and generally they go through 1 lifetime. Occasionally 2. I have had a couple of people go through 6 or 7.
Wow.
But they're not getting the full experience of the life. They're getting a few details and then moving into another life. And we call that a skimmer. That's somebody that they don't really get the full experience of a life. They get a couple of details, pop into another one, pop into another one. But typically with the regression work that I do, I will take a client through a full past life, through the death scene to the end where they meet with their guides, their teachers, and review the lifetime to understand the parallels to their current life. And so in that session, you tend to do one past life session. In that session, you tend to do one past life and get as many details from it because it ties into whatever's happening for the client. And we're working on a particular issue. So if there's another past life that ties into that, in the spirit world with the guides may tell them about a couple of more where they were working on the same theme. They don't necessarily relive or go through the additional past lives, but they have knowledge of it from that cosmic realm.
Yeah, because somebody had asked the question, how can I have a past life regression? And you just answered it. I mean, it's a personal thing.
Yes.
You have to be with the person. One of them said, do I need to believe in reincarnation? Now, before you answer that, we're talking a soul, and people haven't believed me either in that when I told them a couple of times. I said, well, look, you could have been a woman in the last life. And they said, no, I wasn't. I said, how do you know? It's like, hey, But this person wanted to know whether reincarnation was a real thing. So when you're doing this with somebody, do they actually tell you that?
So I let them decide.
Ah.
And after the information comes up and you've spent 2 hours exploring a past life, seeing the connections that tie into your current life, it's my personal belief that that is a past life and there is reincarnation and our soul is eternal. But I'm not here to convince someone. And if they have a session and they walk away and decide that that wasn't real, that's for them to decide. But most people, if anything, it changes their mind, it answers questions, and it lets them know that they have lived before. And it helps them to understand that we're here with a purpose, for a purpose. We're here on purpose, for a purpose. Every soul is here for a reason and part of the divine plan. And it helps to understand more about your place in this divine plan, this incarnation, as well as other times that you've come and experienced this place.
Okie doke. I think about this. I mean, somebody told me I was here 11 times. And I said, well, if I was, then every time I must have been old. They said yes. So, I mean, it's like, I said, well, why? Couldn't I have done something about that or like made things easier? Because I told my guide last on the NDE, I don't mind coming back, but there's no way I'm going to kindergarten again.
So they brought you back, so you didn't have to relive that.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. But seriously, I mean, you can plan in a sense by knowing where you were. You can almost tell with a little bit of push where you're going. Yes.
Yes, and by knowing where you were, you can understand more about yourself and what drives you. And sometimes the guides will take you to a past life and show you a life that was in opposition to where you are now. Ooh. So in your current life, it might be difficult. So they take you to one that's easy to show you that all of your lifetimes have not been so difficult. Or you may have an easy lifetime this time, and they may show you that you've had some very difficult, traumatic past lives, and this was a chance for you to ease back in and work through some issues, but at a slower pace or not as traumatic as some of the past lives.
Oh,
so if someone were working on a theme, let's say they were working on the theme of love.
Okay.
Well, the way to do that would be to experience a series of past lives where you have your love in your life, you lose your love in your life, where you hurt the love of your life. You learn from all sides about love by having it or losing it.
So in other words, past regression is a 360 look at you.
Yes, it's a view of your past and your future from the perception of your current life.
Wow. That's it. I mean, the more and more I hear about this, the more I get excited to actually try it.
It's a lot of fun.
Not even try it. I'm going to do it. I mean, that's.
You'll have to come out. Come out to the East Coast.
I am on the East Coast. I'm in Florida.
I mean, come up to Wilmington.
I was. We were in South Carolina, and suddenly my people here, and I'd said, no, you know what? Let's get, because we had hurricanes and everything else. We had Walter when we were in Charleston. You guys had it too. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we said, okay, let's go to Florida. So we bought a big place down here and that. We got everything we need. Actually, we got everything was bigger down here and that than we had. And the weather, of course, you don't get the freezing weather or any of the above. You know, it's a little bit better. The only thing you get down here that you really don't like is a couple of days ago, let me see, this is the 4th, on the 1st, the hurricane season started. So, of course, we moved here. We just had Walter, Matthew. What do you have? Walter, Matthew, one of the two. I guess it was Matthew up there. But anyway, we had that one up there. We moved here. 3 days after we moved down here, we got everything straightened out and everything else. And here comes Irma, right over our head. So, I mean, you know, everybody, even any of the things, the businesses around here and that other neighbors and that I know, other executives, they turn around to me and they say, hey, we're staying away from you. Because I had 2 hurricanes up there, and I had to come down here, and I got one 3 days.
Remind them that they had hurricanes before you got there.
Yeah, well.
But if they don't hit down there, sometimes they hit up here.
Explain that to them.
Yeah.
But, all right, so how did you actually get, I mean, you were an actress.
Yes.
You did commercials. You did this professionally. You were probably awesome at it.
I had a lot of fun
just
doing
click,
that.
and I'm not going to do this anymore?
It wasn't quite like that, but I had been an actress for several years. I think 8, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at about the point of seven years, I wanted to move past some of the blocks. And, you know, there's a lot of learning. You take classes, you audition, so you're doing a lot of that background work before you even really get out there. So I'd done a lot of that work, and I would travel to wherever I needed to go. And I knew others. There's a big film community here in Wilmington, which I actually moved to Wilmington to be part of. And as soon as I got there, it went to Canada and it went out to LA. A lot of the community moved around. So I looked up a regressionist and did a past life session to help clear anything that was holding me back in my career. And I also had stage fright, which is not a good thing for an actress. You know, it would be fine until you put the camera on me, and then I would start overthinking everything instead of just being the character. Mm-hmm. So I had that session, and it turned in, well, I had a couple of sessions, and in one of them, it turned into a future progression.
Oh.
And I saw myself standing in a field of prairie grass. I knew it was prairie grass, and I was looking out over an orchard at these trees. And there were apples on these apple trees. And I was just walking along, picking apples. Those apples represented my acting career and acting jobs and having choice. So after that session, I got a call from one of my friends who had gone out to LA 5 years before. I hadn't talked to her in 5 years. And she called me up and said, Bren, you need to come out here. So I had it all worked out so that I could go out there. I quit my job. My husband said do it. Had the money worked out that I could go. And terrible fear set in.
Oh.
Like the kind that was paralyzing. Like, I don't know. Am I going to do this?
You're unsure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one day my husband comes home from work. He was a massage therapist. And he says to me, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay. And he was very serious. And he said, you have everything lined up. There's no reason for you not to go. If you don't go, I'm going to leave you. And I said, what? And he said, I'm serious, because you're going to resent me. You're going to not be happy with your choice. And I can't live with you knowing that you're going to be that way. So you think about it. And he said, oh, by the way, I'm not going to go out there with you. You're going to have to drive yourself out. But I'll be in touch with you. I'm going to stay back, hold down the fort, take care of the pets. And then he said, all right, I have to go back to work now. So I sat there and just had a little conversation with myself and packed my bags. And the next day or so, I got in my car and I drove out there. And when I got there, got into an acting class, someone saw me, told their agent. Before you knew it, I was doing commercials. Well, before you knew it, I was auditioning. And I would audition for 4 or 5 commercials in a day, or sometimes it was film. But I had 4 or 5 auditions in a day where it might be a couple over a month's time here on the East Coast. And things progressed, and I was standing on set in the Grapevine, north of LA. I had my star trailer with my star and my name on the door. I was feeling really good about myself. And I'm standing there, and someone says, "Hey, you need to watch out. You've got sandals on." I had my Birkenstocks on. And they said, "You better watch out because there could be snakes in this grass." So I looked down, I looked up, and I had like a 360 moment where I went right back to that past life session that I was in. That was the prairie grass that I had seen. Down the hill where we were filming was the prairie grass, the rolling hills, those kind of trees, except they didn't have apples.
No apples, right.
No apples. But everything else was the same, and it just gave me one of those moments. And after that, I started thinking about it. If I could do this for myself and find this needle in a haystack, and I really liked all the work behind the scenes with the acting and the character prep, the self-growth and the development, if I could do that for myself, what could I do for clients that were wanting to make other kinds of changes in their life? So I started studying hypnosis and came home. My husband came out there, we drove back together, and came home, started building my practice. And, I would travel to where my teachers were. So Roger Wolger, I started with Roger Wolger, studied a lot with him, was on a study track with him. Then I found out about Michael Newton. So I studied with Michael Newton, who Roger was more about ancestral lines and carrying forth that information. Michael Newton, I learned more about pre-birth planning and what happens, their structure in the spirit world. He introduced a technique for getting us there. And I also studied with Brian Weiss. And I worked a lot with Michael Newton to start the Newton Institute. And I taught with him. I traveled and trained with him. And, things just progressed from there. So I know I made the right choice, but it was one of those moments when it just hit me, this is what you need to do. And then I had to have faith, because I didn't know that I was going to be doing any of the things that I did and that I have done now. I just thought I was going to come home and do sessions for clients and help people achieve goals.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, what you did, the change around. Do you know, I know you probably hear it on, what you do. I hear it every single day. I'm serious. Either emails or shows now where a lot of people now call into the shows, because now we're set up like we can take 1,000 callers. All these people that are there, they change, they go so far, and for some reason, just out of the air, they change their career. They go into something else, and most of them are going into something that has to do with something spiritual.
Yes.
And it's the weirdest thing. It's like somebody, knocked them on the head and said, "Hello, it's time to change your career." But I'm talking executives. I'm not talking the guy that goes down a block and delivers newspapers. I'm talking the guys that are making $500,000 a year, and they turn around and they say, "No, it's my job to tell people how to do this," and their spiritual way of doing this, and they talk about it. And they talk about all the different things that you should do in your life, including things like meditation and everything else, and that to realize the one thing: I am.
Yes.
And if you can really, really get that through your bones, you are awesome. You are so good.
And those are the kinds of clients that take my courses, because they're looking for a change. They want to help others. They want to be of service to others. They either already believe in spirituality or have a deep understanding of it or want to know more, and they're looking for a career change. And all of those skills that they've brought with them from those other careers they've worked in are only going to help them that much more to start their practice and get started.
I think it's just a way that everybody that's hearing that just realizes that we are spiritual beings. They don't realize that the rest of this world that's around us, it's a holograph. It's not us. Us is the spiritual person. The rest of it, just looks good. That's about the size of it.
Yeah.
Well, works good. Now, you also do, or should I ask the question, what is soul expression, spiritual regression? And I'm not gonna say, look, you in the back of that with your hand up in the air, forget it. The SESR. I mean, I use that in a few things that when I was talking to some people, and it just don't come across. So I use soul expression, spiritual regression. It really nails exactly what it is. Want to explain?
Yes. So soul expression, spiritual regression is a technique that I developed over thousands of hypno-regression clients. And the acronym SESOR is an assessor, like an assessment session.
Mm-hmm.
It's an assessment in your current life of your current life, so that you don't have to go to the end of this life and die and have your guides talk to you and say, hey, you could have changed that, or you should have done that differently. You don't have to go through a near-death experience to talk to them. This is a way to talk to them in a more peaceful manner and get some answers to questions that are plaguing a person, about the mysteries of their soul. And what we do in this session, and I take this through, I came to this through all of these sessions where my clients started popping into these other spaces early on in my career. And then I started noticing a pattern. Like, I followed the format that I was taught. However, my clients started popping into other places, and then I started finding ways to make them go there so that we could explore further. And it's a magnification of one's soul in their current mind and body. So in that space, they're communicating with their soul. They find out their immortal name. They find out their attributes as a soul that they carry from lifetime to lifetime. And they bring in that essence of their soul's energy down into their being more completely for greater alignment. And it's an opportunity for them to have a clearer, more direct channel to their soul and the guidance that's available to them. And then in that state, in the cosmic realms, in the spirit world, you're able to communicate with your spiritual team, which are your guides, teachers, your soul advisory council. And they're the ones that help you. Like, your soul advisory council helps you with pre-birth planning before you get here, before you're born. They help you with the bigger picture. The guides and teachers help you with the details. Once you're here, the details, they're more in communication with you when you're down here on the ground doing what you're doing. And then it's your role as the human or as the being to use that communication to move forward in a better expression of yourself. And I just said when you're here on Earth, however, those soul advisory members and your guides and teachers help you when you incarnate on other planets as well. So not just your early lifetimes. But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it is. Here's one. I mean, baby, do I know this already?
I know you do.
I know this already. Anyway, the thing is, what kind of things did people that were in your book actually experience? Now, here's a question, though. I have heard this from somebody who was there and actually did this. They said, I was not on Earth. Oh, okay, so where were you? Well, then he goes into, they're off. They're not on this Earth. They're in another planet somewhere else. And there's something else. They don't look like what they do here. And they go into the explaining of it. Do they actually come back? I mean, this is a big question now. Do these people actually come back with that memory that they were not someone else, but they were, but something else?
Well, there's the assumption that we only reincarnate on Earth.
Right.
And when you reincarnate, you're in a different body each time you incarnate. Mm-hmm. However, the soul stays the same through all of those incarnations. It's the body, the physical body, that changes. And then on some of those other planets, we don't have bodies. We are pure energy, which is our soul. So our soul goes there and experiences. However, it takes different forms depending on the atmosphere of the planet and what they're there to learn.
Yeah, you know what I teach people all the time is people don't die, and yes, you do feel very, very sorry that the person died, but you're actually feeling more sorry for the person that's here than the person that's dying or that
And,
died.
yes, and in the past life, when you're re-experiencing it in a session, it's different than if you were dying right now. In the past life, sometimes it's comical because they will say, I'll say, okay, tell me what's happening, what's going on. Because the whole session, I'm on the edge of my seat. It's exciting. I can't wait for them to tell me what's happening next.
It's a great place.
And they will say something like, oh, I've been shot. I'm dying now. Well, in life right now, if you had been shot, you would have more emotion around it. You would say, oh, I've been shot. You would be screaming or something.
I mean, man, I'd be up running down the street and saying, "Get me to the hospital!"
Exactly.
Man,
And so they're telling me what's happening, and then their soul is leaving that body as the body is dying and taking its last breaths. The soul is leaving and going on into the cosmic realms to meet with their guides and their spiritual team.
you see, that's something that people ask me too. Like, what happens to your soul? I said, and I only because I experienced this. You're not totally, totally, totally gone when the soul leaves. It's just before you're actually dead that the soul leaves. When
Yes.
the organic body is no longer functioning. See ya. It's like, there you go.
But the soul is able to emerge from the body seconds before they're feeling the pain or at the moment of impact. It depends on how they're dying and what the experience is. But the soul is there, but it's able to leave. And then often it lingers. I've had clients talk about how they stayed with the body to see who was going to come to their funeral.
Oh, yeah, that's a good story too.
Or maybe they stay with their family to make sure their wife or their children are protected or taken care of. So that would explain an earthbound soul who stays and doesn't go immediately back into the spirit world to go through the process they go through when they get back and go through a cleansing. They stay, or at least a part of them stays to communicate with the loved ones that are left behind until they know that they're okay.
Yeah, or they're at a funeral somewhere and they tap somebody on the shoulder and say, "What are you doing here?"
Yes.
Could you imagine now? I mean, it's possible. Oh boy. All right. What does the SESR or soul expression, spiritual regression feel like? Is there a feeling that you get when you're going under?
It's a sensation of relaxation. It's the lightness often. Clients are surprised afterwards that it's been a couple of hours, 3-4 hours. It feels like 30 minutes, it feels like 45 minutes. It's a peaceful feeling. They feel stronger when they're coming back. They feel like more of themselves because they're much more connected. Because life can take you out of being connected to that deeper part of yourself. You can get distractions. You can get into your head too much. And the way in here is through the heart. The way in is through the emotions and through the feeling. And it gets us out of our head and down into our being. And it's a stronger connection to oneself.
Is this
It's
something?
a peaceful feeling.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Is this something that goes automatically, or is it something that you have to work on?
In the session,
Yes.
it's something that I guide. I ask for guidance from the guides. It's something that I direct during the session. And there are a couple of different ways this happens with these soul energies, because the soul will come through and communicate with me because I'm guiding the session and speak about the client in the third person. When the client is laying in the chair, or the client may begin to channel their own soul and feel it in a deeper level. So depending on how that's coming through, we bring that in for the client so they can get a fuller experience. Because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know what to expect, but I know what's possible, And I want to draw out the biggest, best possible experience for them in the time that we have together so that they can move forward, feeling stronger and better, putting fears to rest. So some of this is about past lives, past life karmic carryover. And some of this is about their soul's current incarnation and their purpose. Because you're here on purpose, for a purpose, and helping them to really connect with that so that they can leave my office with a clear understanding of who they are and what they came to do. So it's an energy exchange. It's meeting with guides and teachers. It's exploring the soul, because you have access to the soul's history. You have access to the soul awareness area. Gives you access to everything about the soul, your soul. And we're putting you in direct communication with yourself at your highest realm. The you that you are walking on this planet is not your highest self. There's more to you. But we're connected to that part, and then we have these different bodies throughout various incarnations that give the soul the opportunity to experience and explore and to learn.
Another question that was here is, or someone asked me, will I recognize people that I know?
Most times they do.
So,
Most
okay,
times.
that's like an ancestor session thing, you know. It's like going back on your family tree. Yes.
So we may not always incarnate back into the same family. Sometimes what people are experiencing is a past life related to the genes that they carry in the physical body. Mm-hmm. But there's also past lives that your soul has experienced. And in those sessions, most of the time, there are a couple of times where the client isn't able to identify someone, or they'll say that person, that person's not in my life right now. But most times they're able to say with certainty who the person is that's showing up in the past life scene and what their relationship is to them in their current life. And it doesn't have to be the same relationship. So a spouse now may not be a spouse in a past life. A parent now may not necessarily be a parent in a past life. It could be your child, it could be a teacher, it could be, in one of the stories in the book, my client's relative worked at the store down the street that she would take blankets to and sell. But he would lift her up because he was always nice to her in a life where people were cruel and shut her out. And he's an important relative in her life today.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
he was the shopkeeper then.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What is, all right, between lives that you are bringing these people to, what's the space between them?
So this is the spirit world, the cosmic realms, heaven. It's that space that we go to when we die, the place that we return to, which is our true home. And there's a lot of activity in the spirit world. So we don't die and just go there and sit. We sometimes have jobs there. Souls, clients will talk about their soul's job and what they do in the spirit world. I had someone recently talk about how they worked in the nursery to help birth new souls. And that's their role there. One of the clients in the book, she works in a spiritual rehabilitation center for souls that need additional help when they get back because they kind of lost their way when they came to Earth and maybe took things too far. Because you have free will, you can follow your plan. You can veer from the plan that's set off for you to incarnate with. And sometimes souls take it so far that they need a rehabilitation center. And so there are souls that work there and work with those kinds of things with people.
That's awesome.
They work with energy.
Yeah.
They may work with creative spaces. I think about the internet and how things are planned out before we get here, and you choose your family. Mm-hmm. And so I think about the internet and how an achievement that was to create that and then bring the idea and the concept down to earth to implement it. Because that's what we do. We think up ideas in the spiritual realms, and then we bring them to earth to implement it to see how it works, see if it's going to stick. Maybe we need to go back and redo it, improve it. But if you're getting those communications from your spiritual team while you're here, you can fine-tune and make adjustments as you go, rather than having to wait for the death, go back, and then come back, live another life, and like you said, go back to kindergarten and start over.
Right, or not.
Or not.
Or not. The thing, here's one. If you're back, say one lifetime or something, can you find out what your mission was in this life?
Can you go back into a past life and find out what your mission is going to be next?
Say you went back one life. Now, in between the one life and this life, there was a time that you got together with your guide and planned what you were going to do next. Let's face it, you choose what you're going to do when you get here. Mm-hmm. You get that, I don't know, maybe it's just a bonus in a sense. You say, okay, I want to do that. Well, yeah, okay, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, me, kindergarten. Everybody else, forget it. But when you're doing this, the spiritual world is the type that is more perfect. In other words, they will give you, okay, this is your mission. Yeah, but you decide it. They just help you.
You have to agree to it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And you're part of that planning.
Right.
So they help you. Your soul advisory council helps you and then strongly advises you that that would be the best choice for you. But you still have the opportunity to say, no, I'm not going back, or I'm not going back for a while. Or sometimes souls will take on too much. They're trying to cram everything into a lifetime because another lifetime back, they didn't do enough. So you could go back into a past life and find out what you're going to be doing in future lives. But the way I work is to take you to the between and just find out there. And then in these sessions, often clients are told what they're going to be doing next. So they may be, in the book, there's one client that was working on the theme of leadership. And he's had a series of lifetimes working on that. He's been in the military. He's had management type jobs where he was a leader. And when he came in for the session, it was explained to him that now he's moving into a more creative field, that he's finished that theme and it's time for him to work on something else in an artistic way. And his guides actually put a robe on him of energy and colors, swirling colors in this robe, and he was feeling all the sensations of this, I call it like an up-levelment, where he was advancing to the next level midway through his current life. So he had completion and was moving on to the next thing. So we didn't even have to go into the future life to find out what was next, because it was starting to happen, and they said that his next life would continue along the same path.
So now this is all right. So we're all students. In a sense. In a sense, we're all students. We're learning. Have you had anyone come back and said that they didn't have anything else to learn? I mean, now there's people, you know yourself, there's people that have been through 100 lifetimes.
Right. So
what can be left?
100 more? Mm-hmm. I'm just teasing. I haven't had anyone come back and say there's nothing left to learn. Let me say this. I prefer to use the term experience. I believe the soul comes here to experience lessons, to experience atmospheres and relationships, because Earth is the emotional planet. So you come here to experience emotions and balancing those emotions and moving through them. Now, I have had a client or two come in with a very short list of just one or two things they were curious about, and in passing they said, I don't really have anything left to learn. And then they were shocked when their guides told them that you have a few more things to learn.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you thought you were done, but you're not. And guess what? Not only are you going to finish out this life, but you're going to come back again. So they may be surprised by that.
I mean,
I have had clients that they were told this is your last life and you're going to go on to another place after this. So you don't die. The soul continues on and just goes elsewhere.
well, like death. I don't call death death. I call it continuance.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, you're going to keep going. I mean, if people knew what an NDE was actually like. See, this is something I get only because I had one, and I've had many people on. You know, Danny was on this show, and he died 7 times.
Wow.
The thing is, you know, at that point when you're between two worlds, you know everything that's going on in between. You feel it. I mean, it's you know you're going to go somewhere or whatever. In my particular time, my father was the one that said to me, I didn't belong there. That was it. End of story. Boom. 30 days later, I wake up in a hospital.
Wow.
So that was that. But, you know, when you're in that state, you know that it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to, how would you say it? It's something that you have to realize and love at the same time.
Yes.
It is huge. I mean, it's the only thing that I can describe is when you step over and you're in that realm. The feeling of love is enough to knock you off your feet.
Yes.
It's incredible. I mean, there's nothing like it. Every single person you talk to, you can feel it. When you come out of that experience, I can be standing next to somebody, and I know they're thinking about me, because they're not because they're looking at me, because I can feel it. You actually do. You come back with this realization that, like, hey, you're here, use it.
Yes, and having touched the spiritual realm is cathartic. It clears all those worries. Whatever you were thinking or worried about before you had that experience is nominal. It's gone. It doesn't matter anymore because you're feeling that love. And I should have mentioned that sooner. Yes, there is a tremendous feeling of love that clients feel from their guides, from their spiritual team, because they know what we've gone through as souls to come here. This is not an easy planet.
No, this is if you went to 1 to 10, this is 1 and 1 minus.
Yes, and we sign up. You know, we wait in line to come here, so to speak. There are souls waiting in lines for those bodies to come here. So when you get here, make the most of it. Live your life to the fullest extent that you can. And that doesn't mean go off and do these crazy things. It means be connected and do what you came here to do. Get a clear understanding of why you're here. But that feeling of love is tremendous, and knowing that you're not alone and that you have support, that's tremendous too, because there are times you can feel isolated here on this planet. You know, in those times when you're at a crossroads, you're at a turning point, you can feel it, but you don't know which direction to go. Knowing that there's help available and that help wants you to succeed is very important.
You have, as an instructor, you have exercise in the book so that people can connect to their soul. Okay. Is this something I have to read and say, okay, you know, come in, soul. I'm calling you. It doesn't quite work that way. It's
not quite.
It's a little bit. That's not difficult, but it's a little different. How is it different?
So I put the exercises in there because the books are going out around the world, and I know that, right now I'm the only one doing this technique the way that I do it. So I know everyone can't get to me right now. And just the thought of that is tremendous. So I put in techniques so that clients can read the chapter where my client experienced what I wrote about their session in the book. And then there's an exercise that they can go and do. And it's a series of exercises designed to begin to uncover mysteries about your own soul, right? So that it's not so mysterious. So you may be doing things that you think, oh, everybody can do this. Because you're so used to doing it, you don't recognize your gifts as being special because you've been able to do them your whole life.
Right, exactly.
And it's helping you to identify those attributes that you brought in as a soul that make you unique, and then how to implement and move forward in your life with clarity. Because what I see sometimes with clients before they get here, and sometimes with clients after they leave, is they will create, manifest, get everything lined up, and then walk away from that vision that they had dreamed for themselves, and then it begins to implode on itself. Where if they could have stayed focused and clearer, they could have achieved that goal. Sometimes it's a matter of narrowing down your focus to one thing at a time because people are too scattered, or moving past fear, or whatever it is to achieve that goal. And then there are times you have to give up that goal because there's something better that you should be doing next.
Oh, that's
These
good.
exercises are to give you clarity and help you find insight and how to tune into your own soul. I mean, your soul is there. It's communicating with you through intuition, through dreams, through meditations. This is just another way to tune in and get that clarity so that you can live the best life that you can now. People ask me sometimes how I do the things that I do because, I mean, it's not easy. But sometimes because I'm not complaining about it, or maybe I make it look easy, I don't know. But I set a plan for myself, and then I do it. I set another plan for myself, and then I do it. And then I chip away at it little by little. Just about staying focused and not letting all those distractions get in. And I know you know this because you're a successful show host, and you do the same thing.
Do you
set
know
a
how?
plan.
Yeah. Do you know? I mean, I can definitely. You and I could jump in the same pool together. It's so many things in our world that only because we do what we do, people will intrude on your space. The world will intrude on your space. I mean, everything you could possibly think of. So you got to put up these walls. You know, it's like I am, and just leave it there. And I'm telling you, we're good at what we do only because we know we're good at what we do.
It's taken a lot of practice to clear that chatter.
Yep.
And to get connected and to know the difference, the discernment of, is this my soul speaking to me, or is this mind chatter? Should I move in this direction or that direction? And then sometimes it's a matter of letting go because you're holding on so tight. You're not allowing the process to unfold. You can't overthink it, but you have to have your mind, your body, and your soul lined up towards that goal. They all have to be in play to make it happen.
Corey, last question. What's the number one thing you would like people to walk away with from reading your book? And I'm going to add to this, congratulations, because it's coming out in 4 days.
Thank you. And it's already hit the Amazon bestsellers list, and I'm so excited. I'm just so excited.
Man. That is awesome. Now everybody that's been watching the blog and got it in your Facebook or whatever else, and it's bobcharlesshow.blogspot.com. On the bottom of the blog, there's little boxes. One's got a big A on it, and one's got a Barnes & Noble on it, and all kinds of great stuff. All you have to do, I fixed this, all you got to do is click on them on the blog, and you will go to where you can pick up a copy of the book. Do that, because I'm literally speaking to you from my heart. This is something that everyone should have the experience of finding out about. People don't. I mean, unless they listen to these shows, but we've had hundreds and thousands of people that have listened to, other shows like this, and I'm sure this one's going to hit the number one on my list too. But this is something that we all are part of. And so
Yes.
many of us don't know that. We're there
That's
already.
what I want to leave the reader with, that as they are reading the stories and as they are contemplating their own place in this world, every soul, every single one is important. Every soul is here on purpose for a purpose. And in session just yesterday, I mean, I hear this time and time again, a guide came through and said, all souls are equal. So even on this planet, we might have different roles and different pay grades and different luxuries available to us, but all souls are equal and all souls are here as part of the divine plan. That's what I think people need to know, and that they're not alone. They have support, they have help.
And the fact that every single person is connected to the next.
Yes.
We're all one consciousness. All the souls put together. So that's why I go a little crazy now when people don't forgive people or there's wars going on and everything else. What do you want a war for? They're friends. They're your brothers. I don't care whether you're purple. I'm still your brother, whether you like it or not. Go figure. Bren, this has been amazing, and of course everybody will be able to pick this up any way they want to. It'll be on TuneIn. It'll be on another one. I forget what the other one is. Streaker, whatever. I mean, this thing is going to be all over the place, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that it goes in and out of things and that. And I'm telling you, you have to come back because we're going to have a whole bunch of emails coming from this one.
I would love to.
For sure.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even touch half of what I could have asked you. So go figure that one out, huh? Meanwhile, what is your website?
It's brynblankinship.com. BrynBlankinship.com.
And there you go. And you want to get in touch with her on that website, you can. You can write to her. And, she'll answer you and tell you what's going on. Where can you meet her? Where can you be? How can you get help? All these things that are wrapped up into a big, big ball. And all it is, and I said this before, and I believe it right now, is love. That's what's coming out of the show. To you. To the audience. Bren, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And don't move, because we're going to go out of here dancing. Everyone that's listening, you can get copies of this. It'll be dead center in the middle of the landing page in a couple of days. So just go to the landing page and you can see it right there. It's on YouTube. You can come to my channel. It'll also be downloadable on the landing page, so you can get any copy you want to, anytime you want it. Listen to it in your car, plug it into your radio. There you go. You can listen to the whole show. Meanwhile, God bless y'all. Bob Charles. Out!